And so since I have this, all of the angles that are in quadrants that have a 60-degree, and we're going to start calling these reference angles, meaning, for instance, this angle right here from the x-axis is 60 degrees, right? That's 60 degrees there, and I know this is 180, and so if I go 60 degrees less than that, I get to 120. Here, if I add 60 degrees to 180, I'm going to get that 240 there, right? And from this x-axis over here, I get 360. If I subtract 60 from that, I get to this 300 here. But in the same way that we were able to label the points in the 45-degree multiples of 45-degree angles that are in the quadrant, we can do the same thing here. So I'm going to take these points, and I'm just going to use my knowledge of my xy plane to use the positive and negative values. In my second quadrant, I know that my x coordinate is negative and my y coordinate is positive. So this gives me the coordinate of this point here. In my third quadrant, I know both x and y are negative, and so I get negative 1/2, negative square root of 3 over 2. Make sure you see that negative sign. And in the fourth quadrant, I know my x coordinate is positive, so I get a positive 1/2, and my y coordinate is negative, negative square root of 3 over 2. And so if I wanted to find the sine of 300 degrees, I go to 300 degrees, get the y coordinate, that's negative square root of 3 over 2. And note, I don't need that there. If I wanted to find the sine of or the cosine of negative 240, right? Well, I know that this is 240 is in the third quadrant here, and that's when I go this way, right? Well, if I want to do negative 240, I'm going to start in my fourth quadrant, go third, and then second, and I'll get this angle right here. And so the cosine of 240 degrees would be negative 1/2. Okay, and so you can use your knowledge of your angles and stuff like that, and make sure you check that. Check that to make sure you agree with that answer, and we can talk about it in class. All right, let us go now to 30-degree angles. And what you're going to want to do is you're just going to remember this picture here, right? And so when I think about 30-degree angles, are angles that are within a quadrant that are a multiple of 30-degree angles. And I'm going to stop saying multiples. I don't like this word anymore. Um, Basically, angles that make a 30-degree angle with the x-axis, but they're drawn counterclockwise, okay? So like a 150-degree angle is drawn from here to here, but it makes a 30-degree angle with the x-axis, right? This 210-degree angle is drawn all the way from here to here, but it makes a 30-degree angle with the x-axis, okay? And so that's what I'm going to be meaning. And we're going to start calling those, the 30 degrees, a reference angle. But remember what we just said about, and this is a bad triangle, but you get the picture, about the 60-degree, 30-degree triangle. This side length was 1, this was 1/2, and this was square root of 3 over 2. All right, and the one way for you to remember this is that remember the longest side of a triangle is the hypotenuse, okay? And so it's going to be 1. Or you can just remember that it's from a unit circle, so your hypotenuse is going to be 1. In regards to these other two sides, sometimes people get confused between whether the square root of 3 over 2 is on this side or is it on this side, and vice versa. Remember, square root of 3 over 2 is a bigger number. And since the 60-degree angle is the bigger angle, the bigger side has to be across the triangle from the bigger angle, okay? And so the square root of 3 over 2 has to go across the triangle from the 60-degree angle, and the 1/2 has to go across the triangle from the 1/2, 30-degree angle. All right, well, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put this triangle on its side so that I get the 30-degree angle here and the 60-degree angle there. And again, the 30-degree angle is the shorter angle, so it's going to have the shorter side, 1/2. These are degree symbols, not twos. And the 60-degree angle is going to have the larger side, and hypotenuse is 1. And so basically what we have here is that I go to the right, square root of 3 over 2, and I go up 1/2. in order for me to get to that ordered pair. So my x coordinate is square root of 3 over 2. My y coordinate is 1/2. And I can go and notate these in for my other angles. And so if I wanted to find the cosine of 210 degrees, that would equal the x coordinate to this point here, which is negative square root of 3 over 2. Okay? And so that is how we're going to calculate our trig functions. That's how we're going to evaluate our trig functions. Remember cosine x, and when I think of sine of 210 degrees, that's going to be a negative 1/2. And when I think about sine, I should think about y. Okay? That's it for the videos that I have for you guys. I hope you guys understand this. We're going to talk about this a little bit more, and we're going to add on to these topics as well.